Welcome back to the Rules of Engagement. Before we jump into game number 2 between Polt and Creator, let me remind you guys, if you missed any Rules of Engagement, you missed the Winter Championship Tournament in Dallas, you missed Winter Exhibition, you missed whatever, any piece of StarCraft content MLG does, we put on YouTube for you guys for free, 1080p quality, youtube.com/official MLGSC2, your source for all high-quality, free, great StarCraft content. On the game number 2 between Polt and Creator. In this game, a couple things I want to talk about are Bio-Widowmine timings. Then I want to talk about fast thirds PvT, like when you can take a very fast third. I talked about a general third timing last game. Talk about the impact of taking it even faster. Then we're going to talk about how you can create opportunities using your observers. So we're going to jump into this game at the 950 mark. And we can see here what happened is Polt, he went for a Widowmine, Marine, Marauder timing, Sim, Combat Shield, blah, blah, blah. No Medivacs, but Widowmines. Now, this type of timing, any type of timing where there's no Medivacs, whether it's just Sim Bio, whatever it is, the key to defending it is good force fields. Because they can't heal their units, so if they use a Stim and you force field them out, they just lost a lot of life. Also because they can't pick up units. So if anybody you trap with force fields gets stuck. And then lastly, they can't really jump into your main. They can't avoid them very well. So force fields are extremely powerful against Medivac-less forces, just like they are against a Syracuse using Roaches and Hydras. If you hit the force fields right, you will defend any such timings. So it's all about the force fields. This case, he wants to trap the Bio. And then, Polt's actually not even Mycorine. So this case, it actually wasn't that much about the force fields. If Polt was Mycorine, it would have been necessary to trap the Bio. And you can see here, as long as you have Zealots and Guardian Shield like there, you're going to trade very, very favorably. Even though the Widowmines actually did great there. Each of them got a Zealot kill and tank damage, which, of course, makes them worth their cost alone. But the problem is if the Bio can't kite, the Zealots will tear to pieces. That's exactly what we saw happening. So, always, as long as their force fields are good as a Protoss, don't worry about those timings. If you're Terran, these timings are great if your opponent will miss force fields. If they're not going to miss force fields, they're just not really going to work. So I wouldn't suggest doing them too much. Sometimes, people mix them in their play, try to catch your opponent off guard. Now, going forward to talk about fast surge PvT. Remember how before I said it's dangerous to take your third base before Terran has theirs pretty much done. But yet now Creator is starting his, and he doesn't even know about third base timing from Polt, but now he sees, oh, his third base is not even started yet, right? And I'm starting mine. And you're like, wait a minute, you said that was risky in the last game, that you should wait till the third's almost done before you start your third. Well, that's true, but in this unique situation, right, we have Creator knows that Polt has very delayed Medivacs, right? He has, it's 1140 and there's 2 Medivacs. There should be almost 6 out in a normal game. So because the Medivacs are so delayed, because the timing failed, Creator can play a little bit greedier. So if your opponent significantly delays their Medivac tech, go ahead and take that third base a little bit earlier. If you scout them going double E-base before factory and a third CC before factory, you can go ahead and take your third. Anything that delays the Medivac production, you can take the faster third base because they can't really use the Medivacs to have the mobility to outmaneuver you when you have to defend 3 different spots. So the next thing we'll talk about here is going to be, as a Protoss player, remember how observers are very important to know where you need to defend, right? He has observer here, he has one here to keep track of drops, and he has a pylon there. So all this map vision stuff, it's very useful to keep track of where you have to defend. But not only is it important for that, but also it may be to create an opportunity. And the reason why is, for example, right there, right? Polt retreated just a little bit, right? And Creator already has Blink done. Creator could have blinked after the army and killed it. Or at least killed some of the Medivacs. Why didn't he do that? Because he didn't know what was out there, right? He didn't know that if he committed 2 for out here, another Medivac would come into main and his army, he would want to retreat it, but he couldn't, right? So now, as long as you know where the armies are, it'll allow you the opportunity to punish a Terran for being aggressive. It'll give you the opportunity to say, okay, I'm okay blinking after and attacking this army because I know there's no counterattack. I know there's no flank. So the observers aren't just for defensive purposes. You also know when to attack, when you can move out and take the watchtower. When, if he knows the army's eyesight down here, he knows he has enough units to deal with that. He knows the rest of the army's at the top, right? He saw the pylon, saw the army up here. So he knows that he can move this whole army out to the top. Why does he know that? Well, in this case, it was a pylon instead of an observer, but it's the same principle. He knows that there's no threat of a giant Terran drop of like 6 medevacs, because he knows a lot of Terran armies at the top. Yes, there could be a small medevac drop. It's not the biggest deal. And again, going forward here, he knows that army's up there. You know, with charge, with 2-2 upgrades versus 1-1, he's going to be fine and open, and he's okay committing to that battle because he knows exactly where all the Terran armies are. And then going forward, that knowledge is what's allowed him to take these favorable trades, or slightly favorable trades. Not massively favorable, but for PvT, not bad, especially when you take a third base. You're ahead in upgrades, so his tech's looking better, working on 3-3 versus 2-2. He's in a very good position, not just because he defended drops, but because he knew when to move out and make his presence known on the map. And then going forward here, again, it's the same thing, right? He knows this army's here, right? He knows the other medevacs are here with the Observer. He knows there's no drop threatening him with that Observer. So he has the confidence to go ahead and move out with this army and put and basically engage the Terran force, right? Because he has this Observer right here that knows there's no massive force coming in to attack his natural. He knows it's a relatively small force. He's going to deal with it with that. So he can be okay sending the vast bulk of his units to engage and take out this army, killing a lot of the medevacs. And as he kills these medevacs, all of a sudden Polt's in a position where he can't rebuild his medevacs and Vikings, right? If you can't rebuild the medevacs and Vikings, you're stuck fighting an army that has a lot of claw sight, you know, an upgrade advantage, and you, as a Terran player, only have a few Vikings and a few medevacs, and he basically, well, we'll watch this battle, but you can tell what's happened because he was punished for being so aggressive, because he never killed the Observers. Creator was never in the dark. Now all of a sudden he's just stuck in the battle that he can't win this, right? There's no way. Too much Protoss, not enough Terran. 3-3 upgrades versus 1-1 actually in this battle, and that's not a pretty picture. So Planetary goes down. You know, he's up 100 food, game's over. So the important things to take away from this game, if you want to watch it, you know, you can catch the VOD and watch it in more detail. YouTube.com/official-MLGSC2. But one is, if your opponent goes for any medevac list timings, timing with no medevac, punish that with good force fields and time warps, Zealots, Guardian Shield. If it's like a massive all-in timing, use Photon Overcharge to buy you time to catch up with your warp gate units. Then, if you do get ahead like that, you can go ahead and take your third base early. And then when you do so, make sure you get a lot of observers, a lot of map vision coverage everywhere. So when your opponent's moving around with these small forces, you can say, I know that my army is okay chasing this because I know that he's not attacking anywhere else right now because I have observer coverage. So my charge lots and my blink stalkers can run down and try to pick off a couple units here and there, and I don't have to worry about him running in somewhere else and killing Nexus. Wraps up the analysis on game number 2 between Creator and Polt. Take a short break and be on to game number 3.